to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody. Everybody sign in, and in the back there's last year's minutes and the agenda for tonight. And the first thing we have to do on our agenda is elect a moderator. So I'd like to have a motion from the floor for moderator. Paul?
I would recommend G. Mays.
Mays.
Second.
Second by Judy. Okay, it's been said that by Paul and Judy to nominate Jean Mays. Everybody say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, Jean, would you please come forward?
I didn't respond to your email for the course.
Okay.
I'm just happy you're well, when you're going away,
Raise your right hand and just go ahead and say it, Jean.
I, Gene Mays, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and I will faithfully discharge duties of the office of moderator to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. And as Jean's sitting, we'd like to set a salary for him tonight. Got anybody want to make a donation?
I would recommend $50 for the evening.
$50, okay. It's been moved in second. Well, it hasn't been moved in second yet. It's been by Brian Cann for $50. Do I have a second? Helen? It's been moved in second now that we elect to give Jean Mays $50 for tonight. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Okay, Jean.
Okay. First item we have is the approval of the minutes of the April 15, 2015 town meeting. There was copies in the back. Everybody's had a copy, a chance to look at it. All right. Is there any additions or corrections anybody knows of? Any corrections to be made? If there being none, I'll move we have the minutes be approved as read. First thing,
Everybody's got a copy. They're in the back with the agenda.
Approved as committee. Put it that way.
I'll move they be approved.
Second.
Second.
Like it's all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign for those opposed. The minutes are approved in the last town meeting last year. Okay, the next annual town meeting will be April 11th, 2017 at 7 p.m. I assume right here. It's the same place we are right now. The next item on the agenda will be a presentation of Supervisor's annual financial statement. Brian?
Thank you, Gene. We don't have to verbally give the statement of financial condition, so everybody should have a copy of this. So it's rather a give and take. If you have any questions about any of the numbers on here, then I'd be very happy to explain to you them. General assistance, I'd like to go there for just a moment. We have got transportation now back in Will Township, thanks for the assistance from Judy Ogallo when there was issues with people who couldn't get rides since Washington Township gave up their, or didn't get their grant. So Joliet took it over, but as there are governing bodies, there was a breakdown in communication, and unfortunately people were not able to get the rides. So Judy stepped in and started the ball rolling, and got Wendy Garlick on board with everything, and some of the other people who had to, and we got that taken care of. So you might notice an increase there for the general assistance area, but that is in transportation mostly. I want to give our road commissioner a big round of applause, because the numbers that you see here are very much because Bruce negotiated with the oil people who were here putting in these 2 oil lines. And so the numbers are looking very good. Will Township is very healthy. We have no outstanding debt. All the equipment is paid for. All the buildings, all the upkeep, all the rehabilitation of the town hall has all been paid for. The only thing that we have got ongoing right now is we have hopefully we'll be closing on the property from the Heisner Trust family trust We're picking up another 1.2 acres approximately. Unfortunately, Joliet is giving us fits because they want 16-foot setbacks, they want this, they want that, and I can understand the zoning issues because of taxes for the Heisner group, but hopefully Judy will help us with that if we talk about it a little bit tonight. Maybe we can expedite the purchase of this property. And we're going to purchase the property so we can put in parking on this side and give Bruce a little bit more room for his equipment and spruce the place up a little bit. There are no really issues in the township right now that I know of. We have our Will County Sheriff's Police usually attend our monthly meetings to let us know what the issues are in the township relative to burglaries, break-ins, or whatever there might be going on in the township. As you are all aware, during the early spring or late fall, that is when the break-ins seem to occur more than not. And I don't know if anybody in this room who's had any issues with those break-ins, but we're very thankful to the Will County Sheriff's Office for keeping us informed. That's all that I have, and this are some questions.
There being no questions, we'll move on to the next item. The next item is the State of the Road District.
Well, as Brian spoke, I think one thing I'm happy about is we are operating in the black. We have some expenditures I should do this year that I postponed for 2 years. One of them being the maintenance on the shed next door. We definitely need to put a roof on that building this year. I've prolonged it as long as possible. That's about a $10,000 expenditure. Upcoming projects for the summer. Got some general maintenance to do on what we call an A1, which is no more than a coat of tar and chips on several roads. One of them being Corning Avenue from Egyptian Trail to Ridgeland, Kennedy Road from Ridgeland Avenue to Drexler, a half mile of Ridgeland south of Kennedy Road, an A1 treatment over on Crawford Avenue from Indiana Avenue south to Corning, and then an improvement on Crawford Avenue from Indiana Avenue north to Church Road, which would be a transition from a gravel road to tar and chip. That is what is planned. Motor fuel tax money seems to be available for it, so it's just a matter of the commissioner getting over there signing up for it, and I believe everything will go forward. I've got drainage issues to do that have been postponed for the last couple of years. I've got road culverts to change and some ditches to clean after the last couple of years of heavy rains we've had. There's a lot of washouts and different places to be taken care of. So there's some ongoing maintenance that needs to be done. Other than that, the state of the equipment is in operable condition, and we should have a pretty good 2016-17.
Any questions for Bruce?
Yeah, I do. I was just wondering, what's the situation with the aqua water line? Do you have an update?
Well, we had a meeting with Keith Mullahan today, and there was no permit signed. There's a lot of questions on the details of the drawings.
Like, what is the problem? Like,
Well, I'm going to request a survey for the placement of the water line, rather than just using vague verbiage of ditch. I want an exact measurement off the center line of the road to where the water line will be. And then there's a couple issues with some existing drainage issues, structures that I want to be addressed and be protected. And I guess in our township, that's about it.
If you make them survey the water line, it's X number of feet from the center of the road, is in some cases that going to impact somebody's front yard?
Absolutely, Gene, and that is the reason I'm doing it. What I don't like necessarily, what is being referred to as the ditch, really isn't in the proximity of what the exact right-of-way is. So I figured if we would spell out the exact center line of the road and have a determined footage off that center where the placement should be, it's a better understanding for me, it's a better understanding for the property owners. Because once they get started, I think there's gonna be some surprises with the property owners of where that line's gonna be.
But in the agreement that we made, the property owners made with Aqua, it's in the ditch, the
Well-
grass ditch, not in their yard or anyplace else, in the ditch.
Well-
Could you word it that it should be, X amount of feet from the center of the road or in the bottom of the ditch?
That's what I'm trying to clarify, Gene.
Yeah, because if you put a, you know, a figure, a foot figure on it, if it grows off center, you could be plowing through somebody's front yard.
Well, my
Because
main concern is that.
the roads are not all right on the money, you know.
Absolutely not, but the right-of-way is. Surveyed right-of-way is the right-of-way.
Yeah.
And the road placement, I can grant you, the road placement of the hard surface is not in the center on a lot of roads.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the issues I haven't had answered yet is just north of you there on Egyptian Trail where that concrete vault cable is, where are you gonna put the water line? You're gonna put it on the road, or it's gonna be awful tight against the right-of-way line?
Because like in front of my house on North Petersville Road, the center of the road is on the north shoulder, the surveyed center.
Yes, absolutely.
So I mean, if you were gonna put it X amount of feet off of the center of the road, it would be in the front yard, for sure.
But I like to have all those details clarified before anyone starts excavating. And then that's not the time to be having discussions on where it should go.
Mhm.
And I think if it's staked out, we were asking it to be staked out every 500 feet, I think that gives the property owners a pretty good heads up to where it's gonna be.
Well, like I said, according to the agreement that the property owner struck with, was in the ditch.
So,
That's the way.
what's the legal termination of the ditch, Gene? I mean, I have to go by a standard that's printed,
I understand.
yeah, so,
But I mean, better worded so there is not a conflict with the two agreements, I would think. Well, I would, nobody want to see to that. You don't want to have conflicting agreements, I would think.
right.
So, okey-doke. Any other questions for Bruce? Or concerns? If not, then we'll move on to the old business. Any old business to be brought up before the meeting? Anybody have any old business left over, concerns? There being none, we can move on to new business. Has anybody got anything new they want to bring up to this, or bring up to the meeting? There being none, then we'll move on to the comments, concerns from electors, limited 2 minutes. Anybody have any comments or concerns they'd like to voice to the meeting?
Well, I guess that would be us. I'm concerned about our culvert. It's been about 3 years that it's been broken. And I'm wondering what the plans are for that.
Is it culvert in your driveway?
Yes.
Bruce is the man, he was mentioning some of that.
Right.
The culvert's in the yard, ready to be put in. Twice I've had scheduled with the phone company there. I'm sure you're aware, they ran your
Right.
phone line in the pipe. So I can never coordinate them to be there at the time that I'm gonna be. So, I mean, either I'm gonna say stupid about it and cut the cable and put the pipe in, which I could legally do, but I don't think that's fair to the people that live along there. I'd rather the phone company be there, unhook the cable, and you put the pipe in, they hook it back up. But I would say that in 2 weeks it better be corrected.
Can we do it now when everything is flooded?
I'll pump it down. The water issue there is not a problem for me, the cable's the
Okay.
problem.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Anybody else is contented, satisfied then, I guess. That's the last item on the agenda. I guess we'll have to have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Mr. Moderator, we have a county board member in the room. I'd like to hear a little bit what's going on with the county, if possible.
Okay.
Could you share some things that we might be interested in, like the Great Lakes Railroad or
$276 million.
$276 million bond?
Okay,
We'll extend the comments and concerns to our county board members, we'll the electors.
okay. As far as the Great Lakes Basin Railroad, I last night attended the meeting down in Manteno, and I know that Clerk Ginder was there as well. And it seemed as though the residents in the room had no idea really what was going on. They were informed by social media that the meeting was being held. It was in the local papers too, I suppose, but most of the people who were there were because of social media. There's an organized group opposed to the rail line, which is 278 miles from Wisconsin. It doesn't come into Will County. It rides the county line between, right by Paul's house, because he wants to live across to it. It's east of 50 is what they say, for 8 miles to Grand Park or so, and then 2 miles from north to south is a rail yard, proposed rail yard, which is 16 square miles. It's quite large. So there were about 15 to 20 people who spoke about it. And then the Office for Environmental Analysis is the one who goes and does a draft EIS and everything like that, which is the Environmental Impact Study. They didn't give any information about it. And they said the rail line, as you see on the map, is proposed. And I think I have a copy here. You guys could look at it. We can pass it around. The proposed route is something that they proposed. And if you look back at the old Daniel Burnham map way back hundreds of years ago, he proposed, the airport south of Chicago, the Ileana
Which is
Road,
the Dan Ryan.
yeah, and then they extended out now the rail line. So this is a private group of investors that's looking to build this. I sat and I heard from the Kankakee County Farm Bureau listed a group of about 8 reasons why they're opposing this project. And most of it is, taking farmland away, drainage, typical things. Some residents said that there was concern because of the Kankakee State Park and its, proximity to that. And, it was just reminiscent of all the meetings that we've attended up here on how people felt about losing their farmland to a proposed project and everything, except at least we did have a little more insight versus this, which I know I did a Google search, and I know that back in 2014 that they filed to actually start this process at the federal level. I presented it at county board today. Myself and Bruce Gould from the highway department was there last night as well. And his concern is the rail yard because it touches County Line Road, which a portion of it is Will County, a portion of it is Kankakee County. Rest of them really had only heard about it a little bit, so I gave them some brochures, and those comments said, well, the railroad companies are not involved, interested in it, and like Paul mentioned, well, the airlines aren't interested in the airport, and that didn't stop their progress on that. So the Great Lakes group is looking to start construction in 18 months, but the OEA said that cannot happen because it's 2 to 3 years before the draft EIS would even be done. So they're looking, of course, at alternative routes, environmental impacts, mitigation agreements. Like I said, there is an organized group that's opposed to it. They're from Northern Illinois. I assume they're all in Lowell, Indiana tonight. And there's going to be an online public scoping meeting that you could go to that's on that document. Actually, maybe Brian could read it out loud. It's April 27th from 1 to 3:30, but you register for that. Brian, it's on the back on the top in the blue.
Wednesday, April 27th, from 1 to 3:30 Central Time, because it's Indiana, right?
It's
Central Time.
online, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, to register to attend this public scoping meeting, please visit the board-sponsored project website, which is here if anybody wants to.
Well, just say it out loud, I guess.
It's www.greatlakeSbasinRailEIS.com.
Right.
EIS for environmental impact study, I'm sure.
And then they did say they were not going to close the comment period, so you could comment as much as you wanted. Of course, the majority of the people in the room probably 98% were farmers that were going to be losing their property or had some concerns regarding that. That's all that I can tell you about it, because I really don't know a lot. I attended because somebody who I know is the president of the Farm Bureau, he mentioned that the meeting was going to be last night, and also I did have some residents contact me on Facebook asking me what I knew about it, which was not much more than most people did, so I went to that. And as far as the bond for all the capital projects at the county, since I got elected to the board, these capital projects have been talked about. They've had studies done as to which buildings needed to be replaced, which buildings we could keep and just upgrade, things like that. And so it got to the point where we had done everything we could as far as that, then we needed to determine where we're going to move forward with any of these projects. The sheriff's station at Laraway is really a terrible, terrible disaster for so many reasons. There's so many problems with that building, and didn't have like water and sewer, so that got run there. So then the next step is to upgrade their facility so that it doesn't have the cramped quarters. There's filing cabinets in the bathrooms, all kinds of crazy things that you wouldn't imagine, because the department grew, but the building was like this. It just never grew. Along with that is the courthouse, which I imagine most people have been to the courthouse for one reason or another, and it's a concrete building. With it being a concrete building, makes it really difficult to make any major changes to the inside structure of it, and there's safety concerns where the attorneys, defendants, and everybody, they're all in the same elevators as they go to the second floor. Also, the wait lines outside the building is an issue. So they have a proposal of putting this, I think it's up to 11 stories now, 11-story building, 11-story building, downtown Joliet.
And the new one?
The new one. So if you know where the courthouse is, if you go to the west, immediately to the west, it's the First Midwest building.
Yeah, they bought that for $4 million.
We bought that, and we've been using that as a transition place as we move people in and out of different buildings as they're remodeling. And First Midwest is still on the first floor, and several different offices on the second floor. Eventually, all those people will be moved out. First Midwest will go somewhere else downtown Joliet, and then they'll begin building this building. So the bonds set, actually we were going to take a bond at a lower rate. The executive's office wanted to go a little bit higher as just a scenario, because once you go and say that's what you're going out to bid for, you couldn't go any higher. And we would not be bidding all the bonds at the same time. So the bonds would be we'd bid the bonds out as needed for each individual building. And the sheriff's department I think is the first that's going to go, and we'll be doing cash. We do have cash on hand for that, to do some of that. So the thought process also was that the longer they wait to do these capital projects, the more costly it will come over time. So the finance chairman, along with the finance department, looked at the finances, what kind of bonds there might be, and things like that to determine how it is. So everyone's concerned that that'll raise your taxes. The plan is that it does not, because we have other projects where the bonds that become due, we'll have to stop paying on a particular project we're paying on, like at the adult ADF center facility, and then that money then frees up for this. We will be using some of the RTA money, which is Bruce School likes to keep it for roads, but it's really for public safety as well as roads, and so we figure it makes sense to use it for public safety, for building the courthouse, which is a public safety facility, as well as Laraway is a public safety facility. Part of the new sheriff's facility will also be a new building for the ETSB board. And I don't know if you guys have heard that at all, but it was a state mandate to consolidate the ETSB boards in Will County down to 3. And so City of Joliet will remain there, and then the Eastern Will County will be going into this new Laraway one, and there's been many conversations about how that new board would be formed. The only thing the county board has a responsibility of is just making sure that this happens. The ETSB board is the one that determines how the board will look, who will sit on that board. And since they were building the new sheriff's department, they put on an addition for this ETSB group to be in, which has to be tornado proof and all kinds of stuff. So they're going to be incorporated into that. I don't know, what else would you like to know?
Thank you, Judy.
What else, the other projects, the east-west highway, that's officially dead, isn't it?
So the Ileana, so this year, the county board removed the Ileana as well as the airport from both the state and federal legislative agendas. The advantage to that, from our perspective out here in Eastern Will County, is our lobbyists, as well as John Gouling from CED, should not be lobbying for those projects. The determination was made not so much to not, Will County Board really hates to be against those projects for various reasons. I was glad that they were taken off because they're not highlighted any longer. But the decision was made to make the state and federal legislative agendas be something that is an active project that we are looking for funds for. So one of the things we're looking for is the Weber Road interchange. I don't know if you guys probably hear about that all the time at I-55. And I-55, you hear every day there's an accident, and almost every day somebody dies on that road. So we're pushing to have the Weber Road interchange done. If you drive up there, it's an absolute nightmare to try and get across the bridge that goes over 55. Traffic is lined up everywhere. So that is a state project as well as county project. Part of it is an improvement by the state, part of it is an improvement by the county. So those are the kind of things that they decided, legislative committee decided to put on the state and federal legislative agenda. Now I have heard through a fellow county board member that the state of Illinois is going to drop its lawsuit against the Ileana. Did you hear that? Did it come out?
Mm-hmm. I got an email on it, yeah.
Okay, because
That's official.
it's official. Okay, I heard that over the weekend, and then I've really been caught up with my taxes, so I haven't been looking at the news or anything. And then CMAP was supposed to announce yesterday that they were taking it off their priority list. So as a whole, the state of Illinois has dropped its lawsuit. The lawsuit was to appeal the judge's decision, which the judge made a decision to agree with the environmental groups that the environmental impact study for the phase 1 was not done correctly. So Indiana, Illinois filed an appeal to that. Indiana dropped out last year. Illinois then is going to be dropping out this year. So the only way for the Ileana to be taken back up is to start from the very beginning and do another environmental impact study. So will that happen? I don't know, because there are so many other projects they're looking to do. Hobart Bridge is another one that they focused on in the state and federal legislative agendas, so that it would take the traffic from the Elwood and Joliet intermodal facilities out onto I-80, I-55, rather than onto the local roads out there. They're also looking at a Lorenzo Road interchange improvement, and that would be for the Bridgeport intermodal facility out there in Wilmington. That would be an improvement, as well as right now if you're going down 55, 126 exit southbound is closed because it's not to any safety measures for the way of the semis that travel that road. So they have that closed. So that would be an improvement as well. So I think it's good. I think it's just been over the course of time discussing the issues with them. I believe that a lot of the board members now understand what we deal with out here in Eastern Will County with the airport. I know that I had them all talking all the time about the continued condemnation against the landowners in Eastern Will County. So everyone who had condemnation filed against them in like 2011 for the airport. Those cases have continued in court. I was down in Springfield last week with the Farm Bureau Governmental Affairs Committee, and Governor Rauner came in, and as soon as I saw him, I did run up to him. And the Farm Bureau has a nice little pamphlet we put together for the legislators that said these are agenda. They're typically, farm issues is we want you to support this, we don't want you to support that, all related to agriculture. But there are always a couple other things involved as well that impact property rights. So one of the things was the airport and the condemnation. So I took it up to Governor Rauner and I said, hey, Governor Rauner, it's so nice to see you again. I remember meeting you at an event Christine Radonio had. And I wanted to talk to you about an issue that's happening in my district, and then I went into it. So he took the information, he said to his aide, keep this, we need to talk about it. I will be following up with that aide this week so that I can get the message out there and hopefully be able to get a meeting with the governor, or at least maybe one of his aides, if nothing else, to discuss this. I also have a meeting to be set up at some point with the Director of Transportation, Randy Blankenhorn, regarding, this is not county board related, but this is district related, regarding the farm leases for the IDOT properties and the way they charge rents and how they continue to increase the rents, and the rents are unfair, as well as the fact that they started purchasing the land in 2002. How long will they own the land? Until everyone in this room is gone and beyond, and Andrea, the grandmother. It's just, my thing with that is, a lot of us in Eastern Will County are conservation award-winning farms. We believe in that, and protecting the soil and everything. And a lot of those farms do not have any of those practices. And so what we do at the Forest Preserve is we believe in maintaining and preserving the farmland that we have, or the lands that we purchase. And so I think that same thing should be applied to the airport lands until they decide if they're ever going to build an airport. Because if they decide to never build an airport, then they will have the ability to sell that land back to a farmer at a very good, a good productive rate, where the ground would be able to produce well, and it's well drained and things like that. So I had a meeting set up last week when we were down in Springfield, but that got canceled. So I'm hoping to get that set up again. If nothing else, just talking. And Mark Schneiderman from the Farm Bureau helps me out on that all the time. The Will County Farm Bureau is absolutely excellent in helping all the issues that I've dealt with by providing me with the resources that I need, because I just don't know everything that's out there. So they do a great job. So I can't think of anything else right now. There's many things going on all the time at the county, so you guys come and visit us one time if you'd like, and we could introduce you. That'd be great.
Thank you very much, Judy. That was very informative discussion there. Anything else anybody wants to bring up? Anything else, Brian? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting then.
Move.
Need a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Yes,
All
nobody
opposed,
wants
same
to-
sign. Meeting's adjourned. See you next year.
Sure.
I gotta sign
No. Really?